Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the Blacks in Technology audio podcast. This is a MLK special edition. This is episode number 10. We made it to number 10 already. And today we have a very interesting guest. We have Elaine Jackson. She is the president and CEO of PMP Interactive Consulting. She is a PMP coach, trainer, expert, and she helps individuals, clients obtain their PMP certification. So we want to welcome Elaine Jackson to the show. How are you doing, Elaine?
Hello. I'm doing quite well, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. So we're going to just really jump right into it. Basically, Elaine, we got in contact with Elaine, and Elaine was, so gracious to come on to the show and explain some of the finer points of PMP certification and training. And PMP Interactive Consulting is actually her business, and she does, like I said, PMP training for a living. So let's jump off with the first question, Elaine. What exactly is the PMP certification?
The PMP certification, PMI has been around for the last 40 years, offering a way for companies to have project managers work for them, delivering quality projects, helping projects to complete on time, keeping the budget controls in place, watching the scope of the project, making sure they're always adding quality. So what happened is when the Industrial Revolution took place, they find more technology was coming on faster than ever. And so they try to keep a process of continuing improvements in place. And so with project management, project managers are able to be more efficient, help companies to increase their bottom line, their return on investment, as well as make sure that they can document everything that happens on the project so that future projects don't have to be reworked from the very start. So you have a baseline of information being collected, and this information is available for future projects. So it's a nice way that companies now are coming on board and saying, we want to be more efficient. We want to trim the fat and just get the work done right the first time instead of having so much rework, which is where companies lose a lot of their resources.
Okay. And as I stated earlier, that you are the president and CEO of PMP Interactive Consulting. How exactly did you go about starting PMP Interactive Consulting?
I feel that the company, I'm one of those think tank type people. I can sit in a room and just think of 1,000 ideas, and of course, the idea, the planning that comes behind it is probably the next couple of stages down the road. But I was thinking, how could I reinvent myself? How can I reinvent myself and become something that everybody is looking to be part of? And I have always wanted to be a project manager. I just didn't know there was an actual area in project management. When you're a project manager, or let's say you're an engineer, probably when you were a kid, you were always taking things apart, putting it back together. And your mother would say something like, well, why are you breaking those things? Well, yeah, it was because you were inquisitive that you wanted to take it apart. And maybe you didn't have all the skills to put it back together, or maybe you did. But it's just that when you have that yearning from as a young child, I was always the one who always organized the projects. Everybody set up, everybody do this, and even at work, even in terms of outside work, such as working in community agencies, always the leader, always the one that had to help everybody get organized. And I attended a BDPA meeting once, and I was just so intrigued by the speaker. Her name is Twyla Tharp, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be a project manager. And I went, it took me 7 years to reinvent myself. because I have a degree in biology. So people say, well, you have a degree in biology. How does that fit with IT? But there are more people outside of IT using project management methods, using the tools and techniques to manage projects. And it's not only about IT.
That's something I've noticed too. People outside of IT still go for that project management certification because some of the same, like you said, tools and methods that project managers use is the same that you can use in almost any field or industry. I have a question with the project management. I think it recently started to get pretty big within like the last decade or so. What is the true difference from project management and a manager? Because I've always said I think some of the same things that a project manager is doing, a manager should do. I know more managers focus on managing the people that they're responsible for. What would you say how being a project management will complement the manager itself? And do you think that's the next career path for a project manager, is being a manager or director?
Well, no, they're two separate entities because a project manager actually manages the project or in a projectized organization. So you may have a matrix organization that has a mix of projects and also other functions. And so what happens, the functional manager will handle things like maybe human resources, sales, marketing, all those kinds of things you see in very large companies. The project manager is mainly focused on everything to do with the project. And so I don't see the career path, I don't see the career path as a project manager going to become a manager. I think that's almost like totally on a different level, and the income is so different. And so, no, I don't see that as the next step. What happens with most project managers, they either manage projects within companies or they reinvent themselves and start to learn to do consulting. So this way they can target from many companies, go into a company, look at the lessons learned, look at all the historical data, interview all the people on the team and come up with what is wrong with this project. Why have they not moved forward? And what steps do we need to take next to get this team or to get this company back online? And sometimes we can't do it. But as project managers, we believe we're like Superman. You know, we can do it all, and we go in there, and it's very stressful to many companies when someone outside of their culture comes in and says, this is what you need to do to get it under control.
You mentioned, that the difference, one of the differences between manager and project manager is salary, and that's a big thing when it comes to choosing a career choice or choosing a career path. So give us if you don't mind, give us an average of what the salary would be like for a project manager.
For a medium level, not entry level, but medium level project manager with something like maybe 4 to 5 years of project management experience, the salary range is anywhere from somewhere, and I would say low would be about $85K up to $120K, and some of them are making even more than that. I was on a conference call last week about the trends in project management for 2011, and they discussed that a project manager, for every year that the project manager has year experience, it's like $4,000. So if you're PMP certified, then you have 5 years of experience, and then you have maybe a master's degree, and you have agile training. So they came up with this complex matrix to show that the income would be, if you had went to the right company and presented yourself and your case the right way, the income was phenomenal. So wow. The range right now, they're saying that on the average, when you look at the highs and the lows, average project manager with the PMP is making $20,000K more than the project manager without the PMP.
Wow. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because that really matters, especially to black professionals. They want to make sure that the career choice that they choose is going to be able to sustain, their way of living or give them actually a way of living. So that's basically why I wanted to put that question out there.
Okay, is that Greg?
Yeah, that's Greg. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. So, Greg, even though a job may pay a certain amount, it doesn't mean because it pays it you're going to get it. And as we know, people of color, you really have to come with a real presentation. You have to really be polished with what you know, and also who you know. Some of those top-level jobs, no matter what, if you don't know the right person, you're probably not going to get the job. Or you'll get it, but they will cut the pay down. So the whole, because of the economy, there's a different way that people are approaching getting jobs, networking to find who they know and who they can be friends with so that as they move up in their level of work, that they can have the right people opening those doors so they can slip through a little bit easier.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with everything you just said, Elaine. One thing I wanted to go back on what you mentioned is the average difference between if you have the cert and don't have the cert is $20K. And I think that's a good investment for anyone who's currently a project manager, but you're not certified. Don't just rely on your company paying for you to get certified, because if you do that small investment, however much it is to get training and get the certification, sounds like you would definitely make your money back. So when I look at certifications and stuff, I kind of look at how it's going to separate me from others and how it's going to benefit me financially, what I can ask for. A lot of people go for their degrees, their masters, PhDs and stuff. That's for their compensation to go up, because the higher they go, the competition is less, because most people don't go for it. So if you have a lot of people out there without their project management certification, and you're going for a job and they're going for a job, and you have your project manager certification, experience, and even degrees, you're definitely putting yourself on top, and you can ask for that type of money. Now, with all that said, what do you feel that people get from getting certified? Do you think it's really beneficial? Do you feel that it makes them a better project manager when they go through the certification process?
I feel that people, and let me make sure I'm understanding your question. You're asking me what holds people back from getting their PMP? Was that the...
No. Well, that is a good question, what's holding people back, but what do you think that people get from getting their certification besides the compensation? Do you think that being certified or going through the training material help them to be a better project manager? Because sometimes people may get a position just because they're in the company a long time and the company want to help them in their career. But again, do you think the information that they would get from going through the certification process will help them in their job?
I feel the training will help some people, not all. Some of the students that I have taught have been like 15, 20 years project managers, and they're so set in their ways. And when you're studying the PMBOK, which is the Program Manager's Body of Knowledge, it's like the Project Manager's Bible. When you're studying that PMBOK and other supportive material, you need to adopt what PMI, the Project Management Institute, is stating how they want projects to be followed. And I have had numerous number of clients say, that's not the way it is in the real world. Oh, and I don't like to do it that way. Then I said, well, do you want an increase in salary? Do you want your status at your workplace to go up? Do you want to pass this exam? And it usually takes me about 2 to 3 meetings before I get them to calm down and then start to just see, okay, how can we switch out what you have in your head for the information you need to have replaced for that exam? And so, I feel that people do become better project managers. They learn a lot of techniques that they just took for granted, like negotiating techniques, communication channels, different ways to assess the risk on a project rather than just guessing. And then also the most important part is the ethics part. We have a professional code of ethics that project managers and even individuals who are studying to be project managers have to follow. So some people may have been on jobs where they said, look, don't tell the stakeholders the right numbers, and we'll fix it up, and by next week we'll be back on track and we'll be all set. As a project manager coming through PMI, we know that's a no-no. Now, maybe in the corporate structure, it's like you do what we tell you to do. So what we instruct project managers to do is say, hey, if something is not agreeing with your ethics, you need to decide to walk rather than sit there and do unethical work or to lie or to pad the bill. So I feel the project managers do pick up a lot of great information, and then I stay on top of them too. So they don't get any breaks with me.
So when you're coaching someone through the process, when you help them get certified, you still stay in touch with them, make sure that they're staying on top of it?
I need to, because I think what happens is, I don't know if you studied calculus, in the beginning it's easy, and after a while it starts to get hard, and when nobody's tracking you, you turn around, nobody's watching you, you tend not to do the homework assignment. Now you're one lesson late, 2 lessons late. Finally, you're so far behind you can't catch up. So I pride myself on making sure my students finish the whole training and they set their test dates. That's the differentiator. If they set those test dates, they're 99% committed to the process because they paid for the exam. Now in the back of their head, there's a little clock ticking down to that date. And so it's important for me to track my students because I need to know, am I hitting the mark, which you hear? I have a student that I assisted last summer. He had some sort of, he told me he had some sort of developmental problems, and he got special provisions for PMI to have a special test. They gave him 8 hours instead of 4 hours. They gave him a private room so that he could then concentrate more because he had some sort of an ADHD condition. And so, it was challenging for me I said, my God, what if I can't help this guy? And I said, you know what? As all project managers, we have that good old can-do attitude. We're like, we're going to make this work. And I worked with him one-on-one, and we just, whenever he got frustrated, I was like, okay, let's just take a little break here. I didn't take it personal, and I worked with him right through the whole training. And he passed screaming on the phone. Some of them I save their messages when they call in and they say, I passed, and they're screaming, and then I play it back every so often just to sit and have a good laugh as to how exciting for an adult to feel so liberated just by passing a 4-hour exam.
That's excellent. And I do want to mention that your training, you've had a 95% success rate with people going through your training. I just want to mention that to people out there. So you're definitely a successful coach, trainer. Yeah. And that leads into talking more about PMP Interactive Consulting. How long has the company been around?
We went, I would say, public in 2009, about 2009, but we've been actually operating for the last 6 years, over 6 years. I started at Hewlett-Packard when I was there as an employee, and I'm kind of like a high-strung type person. Probably friends that are listening to this will say, oh, that's an understatement. But I tend to want to be involved in everything. I give 100% of my time. And I just wanted to see how I could deliver these clients or the employees to help them get their PMP training. So most companies at that time, Hewlett-Packard had a directive where they wanted every project manager PMP certified. So I saw an opportunity. My dad always said, do what other people won't do. Do what other people find hard to do, and you'll always have an opportunity. And I have passed that really on to my kids. It's like people don't like public speaking. Learn to do it, love to do it, and you will always have an opportunity. There will be people always looking to go run out the room when someone says, can we have a speaker? And you'll be the one running up there with your speech in your pocket. And so I saw an opportunity, and I went for it. And I helped. I used to do free training. You don't know how many people got their PMP free off of me. I mean, if each of them were to give me just like $10, I mean, I could take maybe a month or 2 off and just go to Aruba and sit back and kick it up a little bit, But so many people sitting out there that benefited from me helping them. So I figure what goes around comes around. I've helped a lot of people, and now my business is starting to take off in directions I never thought it would. And I'm very happy, but I'm not 100% happy, but I'm very happy with the way things are and how people are responding to me.
Yeah, that definitely sounds very good and exciting, because it's nothing more than having a great teacher. And it sounds like you are a good teacher to learn from, because you're patient. You just displayed that with us, with telling people that you had to work with somebody with a learning disability. You was able to patiently help them study for this certification and get certified. So, and plus, you look like you enjoy doing what you do, because you was willing to train and coach people for free. So you can't ask for nothing more in a teacher than what you're offering to people who's going for their PMP certification. Someone who's very patient and willing to work with you under challenging circumstances, and you enjoy what you're doing. So I'm pretty sure you go the extra mile to make sure people understand what it is that they're studying. And with all that said, we mentioned earlier how you had a 95% success rate. I'm only guessing that 5% who probably did not follow through, it probably wasn't you or your teaching methods. You always have those few people who probably are not totally interested or motivated to go all the way through. Would you say that was pretty accurate, maybe with that 5%? Maybe some of them just was doing it thinking that they can get a salary increase, but wasn't really dedicated and wanting to follow your program?
No, I think it's more than that. I have had clients that I tell them, just trust me. Just keep studying. There's going to be a window opening, and you're going to see all the information. Just keep going. And some people, they second guess, because it's like when you're a swimmer or you're holding your breath, and there's that last second whether you hold a little bit more, do you jump up and start screaming? And I've had students that have lost it in the Prometric Center, where they go to take these exams, where everything is calm, and then they get there, and for some reason that is not their day. And so for me, I tell my students, I can train you, get you ready, but I can't go into that testing center with you. I want you to, when you're in there, we need you to hear my voice. I even had a lady, she was probably one of my elder clients, she was like 64, and she needed that PMP to hold on to her job. And she was in Houston, and so she was studying but really not giving it all she had. I told her, I said, don't make me come down there. I said, you better get on those books. Your test is next week. She's like, oh my God, don't come down here. I'll get it done. And I thought, how silly. It sounded so silly, but yet just the fact that she thought I could possibly get on a plane and come down and shake her up because she wasn't studying, I laughed. We laughed about that. But she realized how much she was losing an opportunity, because most training schools, they'll teach you that 5-day prep class, and then they're gone. They'll like, send me an email if you have a question. But with me, I follow up with my students. I even sent a note out on LinkedIn and Facebook last week. It was talked about getting your PMP for Valentine's. The wording was something like, give me some love. Give your coach that PMP certification call. I really need to hear from you by Valentine's Day. I'm going to give them $50, $25 or $50 gift certificate. To every one of you that was my student, you didn't do your PMP, get it by the 14th, and I'll give you your gift certificate. I've had so many of my past students that were sitting out there waiting. They're like, oh, my God, that was so funny. I'll call you. I'll give you a date. I'm like, oh, I have to follow up with them.
Nice. And following that line of questioning, what is how's your training program set up, and how is it different from other consulting or training programs for the PMP?
Okay, my program, when I went through an entrepreneurial training program last year sometime, and what happened was when you do a business plan, you investigate and you do a market analysis. You investigate every single company that's in your field, and then find that little window of opportunity where you are so different that no one can't look at your company and say, tell me your price. That's the biggest call I get. Tell me, how much do you cost? I said, I can't tell you how much I cost till I know where you have issues, so I know how much to charge you. People so much want to put people in a box. And so, I don't know, where was that question going? I just sort of lost my train
Just wondering, like how your training is set up. Like, is it web based? Is it in person? And how is it different from other training programs?
Okay, yeah, it is live instructor web facilitated. I use a GoToMeeting. There's some other things that I'm looking at that will help kick up the level of technology. But I think that my students really don't care what I do, because the passion that I bring to it and the patience that I bring to the training is what they need. I get people that have either failed the exam before, somebody told them they don't deserve to be a project manager. Some women in Atlanta just recently revealed to me that some company told all the black women there to go and why don't you get a certification in typing. We're talking 2011. And some manager told some people who are working high-level projects that they shouldn't go for their PMP. So where I am different is I did not have somebody on the job with me say, oh, Elaine, you're a great project manager. You're so organized. Oh, you're great. Why don't you go and get your PMP and then maybe go get your master's, get your PhD. I didn't have that rah-rah kind of motivation behind me. And I think it's so important. I'm hoping that the fact that I do it for so many people, and it's not only people of color, that it will go around that when someone's nice to you, you turn around and be nice to someone, then they're nice. It's like paying it forward. So with my company, the way I'm different is that I find out from my clients, where are your challenges? Do you have any learning difficulties? Do you have any issues with math? Because a lot of people, they comment, oh, I hate math. I've hated it since the first grade. I said, this is not the first grade. I said, when you finish this training, you're going to love math. When you see problems with numbers, you're going to run and get a pencil with an eraser and a piece of paper. You can't wait to get to those problems. I even have a woman now in Atlanta. She's like, oh, I love math. She's probably just doing it to humor me. But my training is different, that I nurture my students. Some of them don't want that touchy-feely approach. They're like, oh, that's enough, just give me the material. I'll call you if I need anything. Well, fine. But the majority of them need somebody to say, did you do your lessons? How did you do on your exams this week? Are you up with your reading? Are there any challenges? When are you going to set your test date? Are you going to keep the test date? What's going on at home? I try to find out what's going on, because if they have distractions, then that takes away from them studying to do their homework. I've even offered to, say, I told one client, I said, give me your boss's number. I'm going to call them and tell them I'm your mother and that you need to stay and study. They're like, no. They're like, no, you don't need to do it. I said, then you better do it. You have your test next week. You tell your manager, and that's another thing, too, Greg and Ronnie. People that take the PMP, they're so anxious to tell everybody, oh, my God, I'm studying for the PMP. And you know what happens? The amount of work they get triples. If you're a manager, why would you know somebody is studying a hard exam, why would you at that time crank up the amount of work knowing that they are at the max to begin with? I feel like, I said, you can tell whoever you want, but try to keep it under wraps. And then when you get your PMP, just put it in your auto signature, so when you send an email out, it goes out, and watch the people start calling and congratulating you. But the bottom line is, they really want to move ahead, but it's just that they're working. Some people are working 3 jobs. They're 3 jobs on the one job. Their company has let go a lot of people, so people are working 3 roles on the job, and they're maxed out. I met a really nice woman in Atlanta just a few weeks ago, and she has helped me so tremendously with my business. I mean, she's very well networked, and you know what she said? She said, just give me a chance. Help me. Since nobody's ever believed in me, I felt I wanted to cry so badly.
Wow.
She said, no one's ever believed in me. No one's given me a chance. I just want a chance. Oh, my God. And then we realized that we had been brought together for some reason, and so I'm working to get her up to speed, get her PMP certified, and help her set up her business so that by maybe next June, she can actually be running her own process.
Wow.
I mean, we all need champions. Some people, maybe you don't, because maybe your father has, like Donald Trump, your father's Donald Trump or the Eisenhowers or something, but we all need to have someone say, good job. You're doing great. You know, keep going. Don't worry about it. I got your back. That's what people want, and that's what I do for my clients. And it seems something, you know, and you guys as engineers, you're probably saying, oh, that's so touchy-feely. But you think about it. If you were struggling with 5, 10 different things, and someone called you and says, look, I really believe in you, just give it 10 more minutes of studying tonight. You take 10 minutes, okay, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Just to go back with what you mentioned earlier about, what did you say? Man, I kind of lost my thoughts there, Elaine. You went on and on. I was like, man, please don't forget. But I think I forgot. So
I think you made a good point about you know, calling, you know, people and giving people that encouragement. I think it's something that is not done enough within our community as Black people, not recognizing other people and recognizing their accomplishments and giving encouragement and things like that. And to have a coach, a trainer to do that is great. Some people need that, you know, that boost of morale in order to get over that hump. And you know, you offering that is a great thing as a coach and a trainer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think when you have a business, you have to be able to come in with something that's different. And you know why people don't do it? Because it forces them to see the clients as human instead of just a number. And talking about that, I had a coach earlier this year, and he said, oh, you know, I can help you make this into a $3 billion business less than 5 years. Let me tell you, I just went crazy. All I could see when I was talking to my clients was dollar bills. I didn't see faces. All I could see was money. And he was teaching the classes, and I was just getting this euphoric feeling of money. And I said, you know what? This is not what my business is about. It really felt. You know, the thought of money was just so awesome. I was thinking about the pool I was going to buy and the brand new house, cash, and all of that. But the bottom line, it didn't give me the satisfaction that I had. Why did I really start this business? And what's the most important thing, which is the client. So I said, no, I can't go after money like that. It was like I would be willing to push anybody down to get a sale, to get them, you know, how can I get the money out of their account into my account faster. So I just wanted to mention that. It was such a horrible feeling, you know.
Yeah, that's something with Martin Luther King's day, because I had a discussion earlier with the lady, and we actually were talking about Martin Luther King's Day and giving, you know, your service and things like that, to giving back to the community, and it just falls right in line with that. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about the money. It has to be about, you know, the service that you offer, you know, and give back to your community, or even just give back to other people.
Mm-hmm. If I was going to also, I kind of remember what I was going to mention earlier, Elaine. It was about studying for the certification and letting people know on your job, whether you're studying or not. And you seem to find more people give you distractions when you tell people. And I kind of find it easier whenever you have your goals, and whether it's to get a certification or a career movement or not, sometimes not telling people help you get ahead further, because one, you don't have the pressure of people asking you, so how's your studying doing, or did you pass the test, or when you taking it, and so if you don't want that added pressure, or if you have some career goals where you want to be, sometimes, unfortunately, people try to put more roadblocks in front of you to keep you from where you want to go. So I think it's sometimes best to keep things to yourself, or talk with people that help mentoring you and want you to do good, such as yourself. You want people to pass their test, so you're going to do nothing but give them positive information and feedback and motivation, while others may try to limit it. So sometimes it's best to keep things to yourself. I know it can be very exciting when you going down a new path or wanting to do something for yourself, but sometimes you want to keep that to yourself. That's all I kind of remember.
Yeah. I agree. You know, and I feel that, some of the clients I'm getting now, they have been so much beat down by their managers, and they're like, why can't they see the good that I do? I said, why are you worried about that? I said, don't worry about what they see. Get your certification, and I think the best method to move up in any economy is to get more training, leave that company, go to the next company, and negotiate your salary. I really don't see somebody getting their PMP, stay in the same job, and the company is going to say, well, you have your PMP, let me give you $20K. I just don't see. I mean, there was one girl in Washington. Her manager did promise her a significant piece of money, and after she got the PMP, she didn't get the raise. So I'm sort of wondering. I keep prodding her every so often. Did you get that raise? I work with some people. I sort of do a lot of alliances with different providers. So one is a business coach, and she does a presentation to my clients on how to ask for your salary increase now that you got your PMP. So for me, that's important. You get your PMP, now you're going to just sit there like being the new sheriff in town? I mean, come on. You need to start going for those better jobs, going out for the higher salaries. I feel that's where it is. You have to capitalize on each step. Every time you hit a milestone, okay, now where do I go? Not just say, oh, well, I've arrived, and just sit there, because that's what people are doing, and they're stuck in their jobs with all these 2 masters, working on PhD, and then the same job with the same salary. Unacceptable.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I've actually heard that if you haven't either moved up or it had an increase in salary within a few years, and you should either think about getting a new job, or you need to think about what is it that you're not doing in order to garner that promotion or that salary increase.
Yes.
So I'm a person that is not me personally, but just say I'm a person that's looking to obtain my PMP certifications. One, what are some of the requirements for obtaining the PMP certification? And two, what would I expect from the test? Okay.
I'll take the first part, which may be a little bit longer. Both of them are long. I could sit here and talk for 2 years straight on this stuff. The requirements. The requirements are that if you have a bachelor's degree, you need 4,500 hours of project management work experience. So that means working on projects. You don't always have to be the PM, but you should have been working on projects, and it can be projects on the job or projects off the job, such as your home, or you work for a community agency or your church. Whatever you found that fits the description of a project, something that's temporary, unique, and it progresses in an elaborate way. And so the requirements are the 4,500 hours for a bachelor's. If you don't have a bachelor's, or if you have less than a bachelor's, you need 7,500 hours of project management work. So some people think, well, I could just get up today. I'm sick and tired of this job. I'm going to go and get my PMP next weekend. It's not that easy. PMI, the Project Management Institute, has certain regulations in place to make sure that they check who qualifies to be a project manager, who has the training, as well as the work experience. So you have to document all this on an online tool, which is not very user-friendly. And then the whole process is very stressful, because you're spending weeks keying in all this information. Then you have to wait like 3 to 5 days before PMI tells you, okay, your information is fine, we won't audit you this time. So then you go on and you pay for your exam. They can audit you at that point. 10% of the applications get audited. And so that 4,500 hours experience can come anywhere between 3 years and 7.5 years. The reason they say 3 to the 7.5 or 8 years is that someone may say, in 1 year, I'll become a project manager and I'll work all this overtime and do 4,500 hours. First of all, it's probably impossible for you to work 100% on 3-4 different projects at the same time without burning out and actually messing up the job. And then also, PMI's ruling is that you should not, on a project, the project should have the right people doing the right jobs. And if the right people are doing the right jobs and there's the right number of people on the job, there should be no reason for overtime. There should be no reason for people to skip their lunch breaks, skip their middle of the day break, and certainly not skip their vacations. and working on weekends is definitely a no-no. And so those are the requirements for actually being ready. And then the next step, of course, is studying to get ready for the exam. The study that's required, I would say, initially I tell people, you only need to study about 2 hours here and there. Because if I told them you needed to be like a madman, studying with papers all over the floor, dreaming about your process charts and all of that, they would be like, "Lady, you are crazy. I have a life." And so I try to lull them, and I like a spider, lull them into and sort of coerce them into the nest. Come on, it's easy. It's not that bad. And I think that the clients that I get, they know it's bad, but they see that I have survived it. And my most famous saying is, no one has ever died taking the PMP exam. No one has ever gone in there, take the test, and dropped dead with a heart attack right there as they pass the exam. So the exam is doable. It's possible to pass the exam, but you have to prepare. And that's one thing I think a lot of our people are just not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to. I had a lady that didn't pass a couple of years back. She needed to go to an event for a family member. And I said, you know what, you can visit him after you get your PMP. Well, she went ahead, did what she wanted. She failed the exam because she needed to put in another 8 hours of studying. Needed to put it in. And people are not willing to sacrifice. I have a group right now. The other day, I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm having a glass of wine while we're studying. Oh, well, no, you don't. Oh, no. No drinking until you pass the exam. No drinking. You need to get enough sleep. You want your brain operating at its maximum. No drinking. They're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no. I said, you can do what you want. I can't see you. I'm over here on the other side of the computer, on the other side of the country. But the bottom line is, I was very shocked. In my seven years now going on doing this, is the first time I've caught people drinking. First time.
Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to make a comment that on the discussion we was having earlier. It's just a statement real quick on career moves when after people get their certification and stuff, when to look for another job, and how Greg made the statement about after, if you haven't really got a bump or move in your career within 3 years, to start looking. I definitely agree with that, just because I feel that the times we're living in, the economy we're living in, companies don't have everybody in their best interest. It's all about their company and the bottom line. And sometimes we can get so dedicated and motivated to do right by the company, which you should. You should always want to do the best that you can for the company that you're working for. But sometimes we have to put food on the table as well. So if it means moving to another company to get that new challenge with better comp, don't be scared to make that jump. I've worked with so many people who get so satisfied, I wouldn't even say satisfied, but they content where they're at. They kind of lose touch with new technologies or new opportunities because they're content where they're at. They have a fear of moving or job searching. But then in the end, when that company decides to let you go, then you may not be able to compete at that time. And it's probably harder to get a job once you lose your job. So I think every year or every couple of years, everyone should reevaluate where you're at, where the economy is, what the job market looks like, and go out there and do a couple of interviews. You don't have to accept a position, but interview. See what you're worth. And then you will have more confidence when you're going to interview. So I wanted to throw that out there to the community of people who's going to get their certification, whether it's PMP or some security cert, or if you're just looking to make a move in your career. Constantly take a look at what the market has to offer you, so you'll be in a better position to get a job that you deserve and get better compensation that you deserve. Because not every company, whether you're doing the best job or better job than anybody in that company, is going to realize that and comp you for that. You can't get mad if you find out somebody else they brought on board is making $10,000, $15,000 more than you, because that's what they negotiated. You can't get mad at that other employee. That means you just need to either see if you can renegotiate your salary and prove it with the facts that what you're doing for them, or it's time to move on if they're not really willing to recognize the work that you're doing.
Well, that brings to mind the golden handcuffs that when I worked at Hewlett-Packard, people would say, oh, you should leave the company, but you can't because of the golden handcuffs. And the handcuffs are that, they offer you gym, free access to the gym, all these at 401k and matching the profit share, when you have those the investments and the company matches your share each quarter, and then the stock options, and then you can work from home most of the time and come in late and leave early and go out for long liquid lunches and all this sort of stuff. All those little things that people get used to, they don't want to give up because you may end up losing that 5 weeks of vacation and go back to 2 weeks. Oh, I could never go back to 2 weeks vacation. What would I do? And so they sit there and they suffer. I worked for Hewlett-Packard for 15 years, and there were people at that company that had 2 master's degrees and had not moved up at all in their position. And I said to someone, a friend of mine that was the HR manager, I said, that is a travesty. How can you have such highly educated people working in an admin position? That is disgusting. So like, well, if they don't go for it, who are we to be the one to push them in their career? If somebody is stuck, they're stuck. But I feel that the company, that leads to unhappiness. You see someone with a master's degree and they're underutilized, utilize them. But hey, I don't run corporate America, and I think that's the driving force behind a lot of the decisions that happens in companies. It's based on the bottom line, the dollar, and so as people just say, I just work here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk some about the actual test itself. What type of format is the test in? Is it multiple choice? Is it kind of governed by, like I know some, Cisco certifications, they have like a proctor that oversees, your lab or something like that. What type of format does the PMP test have?
Okay, the format of the test is an online computer-based training. You can't do it from your home. You have to go to a Prometric center. They do have, with some companies, they set it up way in advance, but if a company has a lot of people testing, that they will make certain provisions. But I haven't really encountered that happening. It's more that you set up the exam online, you pay for it, and then you go to a center that administers the exam. There's cameras all on the room. It's like when you go in the fortune office, there's cameras everywhere, just training. And so no matter who moves anywhere in the room, there are people outside watching the monitors, and they can see whether you're looking or you're putting your hand in your pocket or whatever. So when you go to the test, take the test. The test is a 4-hour test, 200 questions. Now, most people will say, 200 questions, 4 hours, all multiple choice. I'm smart. I can ace this test. A young guy said to me, oh, I don't need your training. The test passing score is around 61%. For God's sake, anybody can do that. So I decided, I'm like, hey, go ahead, go to it. So he went and took the test. He passed. Then he came back. He says, oh, my God, I almost failed that test. That was hard. I'm like, hey, what could I say? I said, you wanted to run into the fire with no armor on. I said, go right ahead. So the test, it challenges you on many levels. If you're a person that sort of likes word problems and stuff like that, you can sort of get into the rhythm of it. It's okay. It's all right. But if you're a person that has this test fear and phobia of math and you're not sure of yourself and you're second-guessing, that test will eat you up and spit you out. You need to go in there, not like a cowardly lion. You need to go in there like, I know I can do this test. Today is my day. I'm going to do it. But you have to do all the preparation behind that. You can't slack off, don't do homework, don't do mock exams, sit back, don't read the PMBOK, and then turn around and then go into the test and say, today is my day. It's not going to happen. Everything has to line up right. The test 4 hours. Each question has 4 selections, A, B, C, or D. It's not to pick A and B, or is it C and D, is it all of the above. The questions are very clear. Some of the questions are long, long questions. Some of the questions are short ones. You can answer in just 2-3 seconds, boom, 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 I know the answer. Others take you a while to set up the network diagram, to do some calculations, and then some questions piggyback off of one main question. They may have one main question with 5 different questions. So if you don't get the first main question right, you can't answer all the other 5. So you lose 5 points right there. So I teach my students, look at what's most challenging in all your studies and pick the most important things that you need to focus on, the things that will give you the highest number of points. If you're focusing on just a few things, you're barely going to make it through that exam. It tests your nerves like you wouldn't believe. I mean, when I took my PMP exam, my heart I could hear the blood going through my heart. It was beating that hard. I said, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack right here in the Prometric Center. It was just beating and gulping the blood. It was horrible. It was horrible. And everybody, I have a thing on LinkedIn. It's called The Day I Took My PMP Exam. And people share all the funny things that happened when they went to take the exam. Some people lost their ID. One girl got there without her passport. She got there with her license, but the license had expired. They won't take any expired documentation. Her husband had to go and beat his way back through Boston traffic in the morning to get home, find her passport, and bring it to her so she could take the exam. So a lot happens between the time someone says, I think I'd like to take that PMP exam, to the day when they call me and say, I passed the exam. So there's a lot, and some people, their nerves just can't handle it. It's too many steps, too many things, and people, someone once asked me, do I think a lot of people of color fail the PMP exam? I really don't have anything to base that on because I'm not getting a lot of feedback, but I would say that I think a good percentage of people don't pass the exam because they're not prepared. And they don't believe the stories they see on the web. Oh, the test is hard, you need to do this, you need to study. I think people just take it for granted. I'm smart. I was first in my class. I can do it. I can wing it. The answers are there. I just have to look at it and pick one of them. But you can't because some of the answers are so close. And there's just like a little hair fracture of a difference. But if you know the information from the PMBOK, you would know which answer to go to.
And the PMBOK is explain to us what that is again.
That's the project manager's body of knowledge. It's a book that outlines all the knowledge areas that a project manager needs to follow that you incorporate into a project. The integrating part, the plan, the scope management, cost management, quality, risk, communications. So all these pieces feed into handling a project. So if you're on a project, you would need to find out what is the project all about? Where are we going with this? What's involved? So you're finding out the scope. How much will the cost be for the resources? How much will it be to actually rent resources? Not only people now, you're talking about renting equipment. Should we make the software that we need for the project, or do we have time and we can buy it? So if you're making all of these procurement decisions, you're looking at quality, you're looking at risk, you're looking at every facet. So PMBOK tells you step by step how to look at these areas and how to make sure that the project is being managed in the best way possible. It doesn't mean that you take the PMBOK, make a little checklist of it, and then every project you have to do every single process. It just means that the ideal situation, every situation is different for each project. And so depending on the size of the project, if it's a small project, you may not have to use as many of those tools to make the project more successful. If it's a larger project, you need more checks and balances in place, and then the communications becomes even more critical on the larger projects because one little slip of a deliverable, or maybe the budget is starting to look like it's going sour, that you have to catch those early, not catch it at the end when the customer says, "How are we doing?" And then you look down and you're like, "Wow, do I have to lie to this customer?" So the bottom line, it's all about the PMBOK is the one book that project managers always keep, even after they finish their training.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this: do you normally do business with, or is it a mix of individuals and companies? I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you have people come to you as individuals, or do you have like a company come to you and say, "Hey, train, my staff," or how does that work?
I like working from my home office. I like working from my home office because it gives me the flexibility that I can be on a call with you, like I'm meeting with a customer in another hour. So if I have to travel somewhere to do training, then you know what that does? It forces me to have to raise my price, because if I eat the cost for the training hall and provide food for my clients and all of those nice ambient things and make sure that they are totally comfortable, then what happens? That reduces the amount of profit that I can make. I try not to make it about money, but the bottom line, for me to not make any money, I would be giving the training away for free. How long could I continue doing it like that? And so for me, it's just important to make sure that I service my clients, but also make sure that I'm also taking care of my basic needs too. In terms of working with companies, I work with Oliver Lehman, who is one of the leading project management instructors in Germany, in Europe. And he and I are working on some agreements with some companies to try to get some more of those face-to-face trainings. I don't mind face-to-face, but I would prefer, just because it cuts down on my overall expense. If I have to travel, then I have to add that cost into, so it has to get factored somewhere. And so for companies to know that they should have another avenue where their clients can just say, okay, take a lunchtime, have a lunchtime break, and you do your P&P during your lunchtime, so I'll give you an hour and a half for lunch. You can do a lunch and learn type meeting. So those are the next things that we're looking at in 2011, is to offer lunch and learn opportunities. So I would go into a company and talk about project management, talk about communication models, talk about a risk assessment, risk management planning. So whatever they feel would be viable. There's certain topics that I feel I have a command over, and others it's really not of major interest. But, it all depends on what the customer wants. But this PMP is about to go what they coined the phrase viral. The exam is changing in August, and people are just, my phone won't stop ringing. I'm like, what's going on, But, in a way, I'm happy, but in a way, I'm just like very confused by this. I've always been jealous of drug dealers. You know why? Because no matter what the economy is, they always have business. They never say, this economy, I've got to realign my marketing plan, I got to re-strategize, what do I got to do? They just go out there and they just sell, and people go running. I would love to sell my business and just have people come running like that, and I wouldn't have to go running to convince them why PMP is so important. It sounds stupid, but it's like, why should they get the corner of the market like that?
Yeah. Well, with what you just said, it's funny. It's like when early on the Microsoft certifications was the big thing, Everybody had to go get it, and the certification companies who offered training was booming, making a lot of money. You hear on the radio all the time. Get your MCSC, increase your salary by $10,000-$15,000. But with that said, you get more people who certified. In reality, your compensation go down. When you have only a select few with a certain cert, you can kind of negotiate better. It's like the CCIE. You look at how many people have their CCIE versus CCNA. There's very few who have their CCIE. And you have to go through a lot of loops to get it. So your pay, your compensation is good. So I think as you see an increase in more people with their PMP and who's promoting themselves that I have this cert and I can do this and that, the comp may go down. It's the whole demand thing, right? So you may start seeing an increase of people who's coming over to that side just because right now there's a demand of people with that skill set. But as that skill set gets met, the comp may go down. So sometimes it can bite you. But with all that said, I guess if you want to get ahead of the wave, you better hop on now so you can be up there.
Well, we're almost at the end of the wave, to tell you the truth, because this project management certification through PMI has been around a very long time. And so a lot of people have already gone through the waves of being certified, and now people are looking at other certifications in addition to the PMP. PMI is actually looking at some advanced certifications. So, I think, Ronnie and Greg, people need to really be aware of what's going on in the industry. Being on LinkedIn, you don't know the number of people who are working that I talk to say, "Oh, are you on LinkedIn?" "Oh, I don't have time for that nonsense, playing around with that." You would not believe the amount of wonderful knowledge. I mean, I don't see any nonsense. It's all such awesome knowledge being shared on LinkedIn, on Twitter. And with that knowledge, you can then pick up trends. You see people saying, "Well, I think I'm going to be needing to take Agile. I'm going to put a Scrum Master certification because I think this will be adding extra value." People are talking about Prince 2 technology for the UK project management that's mainly from Europe. So the thing is, if you're not out there reading and seeing where the trends are, and you're just sitting there doing your little 1-2 step in your little company, guess what? Your company may go under, and when you come out, nobody wants to see your dance. Your dance is dated. So the bottom line is people have to be responsible for their own advancement. I mean, I put pressure on my students, and I probably shouldn't. It's the pressure that I wish somebody had put on me to say, "Look, you're going to go on and you're going to do this and you should do that." I think that people have to take responsibility for what is happening instead of waiting for someone to say, "Oh, you want a master's? Let me pay for it. Just bring me the form. I'll fill it out." No one is going to do that. You're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to find a way to work on your manager. You're going to have to find a way to, and I think, Greg, you said it earlier, that some people want someone to pay for their exam for them. I'm doing some research on that. I think there's a certain mentality that some people come with where they say, "Well, if they want me trained, let them pay for it." Yeah, but if you want the advancement, are you willing to wait till your company decides that they're ready to help you?
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be a very long wait, and now when you're looking at age, working against some people, you cannot afford to wait too long, or else they won't give it to you because they'll say, "Well, you may retire in 3 years. We don't know, so we're not going to invest that kind of money and time in you."
Yeah, I think you made a firm believer. What was you going to say, Greg?
No, I was just going to say, I think she made a real good point. Ty Dupuy, he was on one of our earlier podcasts. He was just on a radio show the other day that I listened to, and he made a real good point, the same point that you were making about social networking, and his is more geared towards African Americans or blacks not being in touch with technology and being in touch with some of the benefits of technology itself. And he was basically saying the same thing that you did about you ask a person, are you on LinkedIn or are you on Facebook, and I don't have time for that. It was like, well, why not? This is what's going on in technology right now. And some of us are so disassociated from technology. It's not, we have to basically get off our butts and become more engaged in what's going on with technology. Otherwise, we're going to increase that gap, that we have between, the black culture and, technology.
Yeah, to go along with that, Greg, I was going to say we definitely have to take our career in our own hands. I mean, we can't depend on any company or anybody to invest in us. With that said, if you can save up your money and do your own studying and get your own certifications, you're going to go a long way. But also, I had a conversation with my manager because they're looking at hiring some more people on our team, and he was like, "How can we find good people? We get people in for interviews. What type of questions and stuff we can ask them to see if they're dedicated?" I said, "Well, you know what? I found that the majority of your good people you're going to find attend different user groups, and not just the ones that's sitting in the audience taking in the information, but ones who's doing those presentations. doing the extra research, coming out with presentations, and sharing their knowledge with other people. Those are the people who separate in themselves from the average IT person. And also people who blog about what they enjoy doing. You know, write an article about something fascinating within IT that you learn. You know, share that knowledge. Separate yourself from your competition through blogs, whether it's writing, whether it's video blogging, whether it's giving a presentation at a conference or a local user group, special interest group. Get involved. And I know on blacksintechnology.net, we talked about trying to take our groups to the next level and doing monthly presentations within the groups, whether it's on a security subject, a Linux subject, and I know that you created the group Project Management. Maybe it's worthwhile as we start getting more and more people signed up and getting in that group, you start a monthly presentation, and hopefully that will help other people do presentations, and that gives them confidence where if I start doing presentations on this site, maybe I can go to those user groups and conferences and give presentations, because you'll be surprised how many job opportunities come your way by extending yourself like that, by doing the blogs and presentations.
Yeah, it's true, but I think that for people of color, there's a certain element of I don't want to appear too happy or the party might stop. I don't want to let anybody know I'm smiling because if I smile too much, they may do something and then I'll start crying. You know, it's like trying to be happy but don't let anybody know you're happy. I'm out there. I am communicating, and when somebody says something that's a little unethical or something that's wrong, I have no problem spanking them right there on the web. And then I have people cheering me on. One guy tried to be very insulting on the web about a year and a half ago, and I shouldn't have. I just lost it, and I told them off. And people were cheering and coming from other sites, joining onto the LinkedIn group to see the fight. They're like, "Oh, there's a fight on the web." But it's so interesting when you talk when you try to express yourself as a person of color. I think a lot of people it's easier to stay quiet and not what they say, the nail that sits up gets hit. So people tend to want to just take the slow. Okay, I'm doing okay. Maybe this is as good as it gets, because if I try to go one more step, I might go back like chutes and ladders, go right back down to start. People are not risk takers. People are not risk takers. They'll just take whatever comes to them and say, this is as good as it's going to get. Instead of being a dreamer and saying, I deserve to be happy. I deserve great things. Yes, I deserve, using examples, but maybe I deserve to have a really nice Rolls Royce or something, or I deserve to have diamonds on every single finger. I mean, so it's all about how people perceive themselves. And if someone, and I now have a series of questions that I ask people when I interview them, because I don't just take anybody into my training program. I've had some little mishaps with some students that figured it's my business that they're going to, because I'm the black girl, they're going to tell me what to do. I bet you every night they go to sleep crying about what I did to them about that. I worked in a company where they suppressed creativity. And I'm one of those people, I'm just like, ideas always flowing. We sat here and had a long discussion on what could we do to make the world better, what could we do to make this better. I could come up with ideas that would just be flowing and flowing. And sometimes, for some people, that's scary. Because if you have ideas, then maybe it means somebody's going to give you more work. But
yeah, I can definitely relate to you with coming up with ideas and stuff. They definitely flow through my mind. But with that said, I kind of understand what you mean by some people maybe fear and they don't want to step outside their boundary because they fear of getting shut down. But what I found in IT in general, you better have thick skin, because definitely when you go out and give those presentations, people are going to try to test you and your knowledge. And what's funny is some people may already know the answers to the questions that they ask. They just want to see. So sometimes you can't take it personally, like, oh, he only asked me that and put me up front because I'm black. So I've seen it done to anyone of a different culture and nationality. That's just the IT in general. But what I kind of found interesting is it's all on how you present yourself if you go up there and just be like, hey, look, I'm not a complete expert. There may be things out here you guys know more than me. I just want to kind of share my knowledge and put it out there. And if you have any value to add to that, please do so. So again, it's working on how you present yourself to your audience, and that's what type of feedback you're going to get. I remember Greg and I was reading a conflict online about a African American guy. He kind of posted himself as the best hacker ever alive, and he got so much feedback and so much controversy on you're not the best hacker, blah blah blah, and this and that. But you know what? Anyone can state that they're the best at something. And what's funny is, if you look in our culture and the music industry, everybody says that they're the best rapper alive. Don't mean that they're the best rapper or I'm the king of rap, right? So I could kind of understand where that guy was going, where he was saying that I'm the best hacker ever. It's just like, hey, I'm pretty confident and I'm happy at my skill set. And hopefully we're going to reach out to him and try to get him on the show because he owns his own business. He lives down in Atlanta. His name is Greg also. And I would love to hear his story because he even said something along the line as he actually was working with one guy who was pretty top in security named Kevin McNick and stuff. So we definitely want to hear that story. But the point was, don't ever be fearful if someone wants to challenge you. It's just like, hey, look, you may be right, but if you can teach me something, please do, because if you're thirsty for knowledge, you're going to be humble, right? And that's what I found in IT is people who are not humble tend not to learn and pick up things as quickly because they're afraid to learn something from somebody else, or they're afraid to admit that they don't know. You get a lot of the people with the bobbleheads as you explaining something to them, they constantly shaking their head like, yeah, I already know this. But they really don't. But they miss the whole point just because they're not humble enough to realize that they don't understand it, or they're not humble enough to say, I'm willing to learn something from you. And I don't care who it is. I've learned something from kids nowadays who's 15 years old in IT to people who's older, like 70 years old. You always have to have that willing to learn no matter where it comes from. And if someone's not willing to learn something from you because of your background or your age, that's on them. They're losing out.
Well, you're right. I mean, I do public speaking. I'm a member of Toastmasters for the last 17 years or so, and so I enjoy public speaking. I mean, you get a rush that my God, you could probably light up the whole world with the energy that comes off of what happens when you actually stand in front of an audience. It's such a powerful feeling. But I did a presentation once where some guys, when they realized the speaker was African-American, they got up and walked out. They didn't say anything. They just got up, picked up their coats, and made a lot of noise, and everybody looked around at them. And most times when I go someplace to speak, there are people that I know. Somehow, somewhere, there's just somebody, oh, my God, you're there. So people see that I connect with people. I'm a very warm person. But also, they also realize that there's a little invisible line, and when they cross it, then they wish they never came that way. And so, it's important. I structure my presentations where, we do questions and answers at the end, and if somebody wants to challenge me, I have canned answers to get them off my back. If they say, well, I have a question here, and I want to see how you can answer it. So then, okay, it could be that they skewed the question so that I would always pick the wrong answer. And I said, well, that's the best answer for today, but maybe tomorrow I'll give you a different answer. I mean, when you work on projects, it doesn't mean because one person's way is the right way and it can't be done that way ever any other way. The issue is if you're using a method or a process, that makes it much easier for you to track where you went wrong, to go back and make any corrections, or so that next time when someone's looking at a project, they say, well, look, she talked to 20 stakeholders, but maybe we should have had gone out and got some more people from another sector to get some more valuable IT information. So, you sort of track yourself. So when I do presentations, I have never, and my phone number is out there, I have never had anybody come and try and challenge me, or I think that people just realize that what I'm offering is something they can't do. If they're jealous about it, they're jealous. But there's nothing. I've done my homework. I've done my research. This is my company. I did have a run-in with someone once last year, and I told her, I said, this is my company. No one will talk to me like that. And I think people need to realize you have your own company. You're like God of your company. So why should you let somebody come and rob you of your place in your own company? Oh, I said, that's not happening. Well, she went away too.
Hey, Elaine, I don't know how much more time you have left. I had a few more questions to ask you.
I don't mind. My students, he's flexible.
Well, being African American, and you get to see the people that are involved in your field and things like that. And being in IT, one of the reasons why we started Blacks in Technology is to try to promote and encourage more African Americans or more Blacks, period, to get into the field of information technology or technology in general. So what is the percentage of people that you see as far as their ethnicity or their race when it comes to Blacks out there trying to obtain their PMP? Is it a high number? Is it a low number? And if it's a low number, why do you think that is?
I have some friends in southern, I don't want to say the state because then I would just sort of target, exactly where these issues are going on. But a friend of mine worked as a project manager, and she tried to, I guess, get a group together of Black project managers, and someone told her that she had better stop, or else something would happen to her. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" She said, "Yeah." She said she was threatened. And it's a male-dominated industry. It's an industry dominated by men and men that are able to amass lots of money, basically running projects. Some of them very high-level projects, like the BP oil spill. They were hiring project managers off of LinkedIn. A friend of mine, she got chosen. She's making $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day. Working that BP project, doing training down in the New Orleans area, and so in terms of people of color, when you go to PMI meetings, you see 1, 2, just 3 people. You see more Indian people than you see Black people. Maybe you'll see 1 Black person and 1 or 2 Spanish people. You don't see. I don't see like Mexicans and Native Americans. I just don't see that mixing. It's mainly a lot of white males, a smaller percentage of white females, and then there's that big drop-off, and then there's 1, 2 these of Black people, Spanish people. When I go to PMI meetings, we have the monthly meetings, and whenever I see someone of color, I stop eating, I leave my bag and everything, I go over there and say, "Hi, would you like to come and sit at my table?" I want them to feel welcome. Because I know what it's like to go into a meeting and people look at you, then they turn back and continue eating or whatever, and they don't talk to you. I was at a conference last year, and a guy introduced himself to me. He says, "Are you Elaine Jackson?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You Elaine Jackson?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I was in your class." I forget what's his name. I forget his name, but he was in my class like 4 or 5 years ago. Most of my students, I don't even know what they look like. He says, "You helped me get my PMP," and he just kept staring at me like I was Santa Claus or something. I was like, wow, she's alive and she's real. She's real. So I think that the numbers are there, but I think that from what I'm hearing from some people in a southern part of the state is that a lot of people are failing the exam, and they're trying not to say I'm failing it because I'm Black. And so I now have access to this population, and I'm going to be watching them closely in terms of behavioral aspects, in terms of study ethics, in terms of follow-up ability. That drinking while in training that's a definite NO. I've never had somebody. I mean, it's fine if you're having a drink, you don't have to tell me about it. But once you tell me about it, then now I'm on your case. So in terms of percent, it's extremely low. extremely low. I would not even say that it is. I wouldn't even say it's 1 or 2% because I don't see the numbers. When I go to PMI meetings, and that doesn't mean that the numbers aren't a little bit higher, but when I go across the board, I just don't see the numbers. And someone told me, oh, if you came to Detroit, you come to the PMI meeting in Detroit and Chicago, you see a lot of black people. I'm like, yeah, but, for where I live in Massachusetts, and maybe because it's Massachusetts, I don't see the numbers. I haven't been able to tap into any reports. And according to my coach, Oliver Lehman, he says there's no need to go digging. Well, he's white and he's European, but he feels that is digging those numbers up going to add any value to my ability to be a coach? Is digging those numbers up and ruffling feathers of whomever when I bring those numbers up, is that going to make things better? So he says you need to focus on what's important, which is delivering quality training to the clients that you do get, and moving forward rather than looking to say, black people, we need to get together. I mean, and the point that he's making, and I see it, is that you can't help people if somehow you don't get to go where you need to go. I can't help anybody if I don't have my PMP, or if for some reason, something happens and I end up losing my certification. And so is it really important to my success that I find every black person out there and get them PMP certified? No. But it is important that if people seek me and they give me the charge of helping them, that I achieve that goal that they've given me. But it's not up to me to go and dig up all the people that may have ever taken a PMP exam and then see how many of those are people of color. No one really said, Elaine, you'd be a great project manager. You have to find it from within yourself what you want to do, reinvent yourself, and move on. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and to a point, I mostly agree. I think one of the things which got me involved in starting a site like Blacks in Technology is, to me, it wasn't about a thing of, I got to go dig up black people. It was more of a thing of, hey, we need to show other, blacks, other African Americans that this career path is an option for them, and that it's out there. And it's not, just for, the white techie, quote unquote geek. That you can actually be in this field, and that you can, be who you are. Listen to whatever music you listen to, dress any way you want to dress, but you can be in this field and learn and network with people and things like that. So I guess that's what I was, wanting to try to see, was whether or not, for one, are there, African Americans that are interested in the PMP certification, and if so, then what if you had anything in place that, and not that you need something in place specifically for African Americans. Just wondering, like, what exactly was there anything else that you were doing behind the scenes that to try to gain the attention of blacks out there? So, well,
my picture is up there, and I think that speaks for itself. When I first got into business, I wouldn't put my picture up on the web. I'm like, what if somebody harasses me? I think from a woman's point of view, what if some guy contacts me and tries to find out where I live and everything? So I said, you know what, this is a free enterprise. In order for my business to thrive, they need to know I'm a real person. Then I said, well, maybe I'll put a blonde woman's, white woman's picture on there. Maybe, something very provocative, and then people will go flocking. But the bottom line, this industry, as big as it is, it's small. So someone would say, that's not her. So I said, you know what, let me put my picture out there. As soon as I put my picture out on the web, you would not believe the number of black people that started to put their picture out there. I didn't see them before. No, black people were not putting their pictures out on LinkedIn. They had some little Mickey Mouse avatar or something. And now seeing more black people, it's like, yeah, this is who I am. I'm a person of color, yeah. So I don't see it as an issue. And so what I do is people come to me and say, wow, I didn't know somebody black was doing project management. I'm like, well, why not? What's the big deal? It's not like I have two heads. You know, it's not like, I'm doing something wrong. But I think that it's just the thought that owning your own business, and especially in an economy like this, 2010 was interesting. If I were not the kind of person that had the energy to keep going, and not look back, I probably would not be on this call now. I'd be probably working some miserable job somewhere. It was really, really, really tough. And I think you have to have the nerves of steel to stand up to anything. And I think people of color, I think I've inspired people. The issue when I deal with people of color, though, is that I'm wondering, and it's scary, but I wonder if when people of color see someone doing business, it's like, well, maybe she'll give me a discount. Is a discount more important than someone cheering that you become successful? And I think that's the one piece of information I'd like for this call to really leave people with the impression that when you see somebody of color doing training, do you feel jealous of them, or do you feel that because they're your sister or your brother that they should give you a discount, or then you would go out? Then what would happen after that point? Would you then make them work twice as hard as you would if the person were someone not of color? So I think we as a black family need to embrace. You see somebody with a business, it's like, hey, let me send you some clients. That area is not for me, but I know some people. Applaud each other. I mean, when I see black people on the web, they say, oh, I got my certification. I don't know them, but I send them no, hey, congratulations, because you know what goes around comes around. You pay it forward, it always comes back. And so I think we as black people need to realize, how do we treat our brothers and sisters when we see them struggling?
Yeah, we had a very interesting discussion on our forums about that very same thing, same topic as far as black entrepreneurs and being in business, and other people of color seeing you're in business and automatically assuming that you're going to give them a discount just because they're black, and today's world. I mean, we're in business for a reason. We can't go around just giving every black person around a discount, and that's not how you should want to conduct business anyhow. What's more important, the fact that you get a discount, or the quality and the level of work that you receive, or training that you receive? So.
Yeah, and I think also people need to, I guess, in a way, mind their own business. When someone says, well, how much do you charge for training? Once I find out where their weaknesses are, that's when I then say, well, this is the kind of program I think you need, but if you want something less, I can't guarantee you'll pass the exam, but, I think you're going to need this level of training. But some people, when you tell them how much it will cost, right away their internal calculator goes off and they start to calculate how much they think you make per year. It's nobody's business. It's nobody's business, because when I turn my lights on, nobody comes to pay for me. No one pays the mortgage. No one brings the groceries in. My family, we have to do that ourselves. So everybody's accountable to themselves. So it's interesting when people say, well, how much? I was on a TV show once, and the commentator, I guess she didn't know, the interviewer, she didn't know what I did for a living. And then she was just like, you could see the shock on her face when she heard the salaries. And then right away I could see her internal calculator going on, trying to figure out how much I was earning. And then I said, are you trying to ask me my salary? She goes, no. She started stuttering. No. I was like, oh, yeah, you were. But, is it a sin for black people to try to be successful? Is it a sin? Why should we not want to be successful? Why should we always be happy with taking the crumbs that fall off the table from those who are higher up?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we definitely have to be more entrepreneurial, especially in today's economy, and in the way that globalization is kind of taking place in the economy. I mean, if we're not, we're going to definitely fall behind, especially with technology. So, a couple of things. I definitely want you to give us the URL for your site, email address, any information you want people out there to have so they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, my company is PMP Interactive Consulting, www.pmpicon.com, and I'm Elaine Jackson. I'm the CEO, and We're on Twitter. Elaine Jackson is on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, discussing all kinds of great topics. I share great training information. Even people who are not project managers can take these different kinds of trainings on whether it's communications or stakeholder analysis, creating the WBS, just all the information that project managers need to know to be able to work effectively on projects. Should I give out my phone number? Or you know what?
I mean, that's up to you. I mean, your email address, definitely.
Yeah, the email is Elaine Jackson at pmpicon.org. Elaine Jackson at pmpicon.org. And on my website has the contact phone number. And certainly any emails that people send and ask me questions, I'm willing to help. If someone wants me to come to their company and do a lunch and learn, I'm willing to travel based on, especially if it's in Aruba. I definitely will travel to Aruba to do a lunch.
And if you need an assistant, I may go with you.
Now, Elaine, we wanted real quick to announce a partnership with your company, and we definitely, want to extend this offer out to people out there. Do you want to talk about that, or you want to go into that in some detail here?
Who, me?
Yeah, as far as.
Oh yeah, but with this partnership, I own like 75% of your company, right? Is that part of the partnership?
I guess I mean we can talk about the discount that people can receive from the Blacks in Technologies members can receive on your training.
Yes, I would like to, and thanks for reminding me about that, Greg. I had forgotten. I would like to, no, it's true. I do try to offer discounts wherever possible. And so with affiliations with blacksinTechnology.net, not, it's .net, right? Not .org.
Exactly.
Or
.com.
.net. blacksinTechnology.net. I'd like to offer the people who sign on, there's a free membership and I think paid membership with Blacks in Technology. But if you come from Blacks in Technology, moving forward as of February 1st, starting with Black History Month, I assume, I will be offering a discount of 25% off the price of the PMP training. We have a lot of different levels of training, so if you've already submitted your application to PMI and maybe you failed the exam in the past and you need someone to just motivate you, give you pointers and get your confidence up and get you back into that exam and passing, I am the person to do that. It won't be fun, but the bottom line, you're going to get your PMP in a shorter period of time if you stay focused with me. And so I really welcome this opportunity to talk about project management. I mean, we could have just like a 8 o'clock call every evening about project management. That would be wonderful. But yeah, I'm looking for a partnership.
Great. And when we're going to get more details out on the website about what you need to do in order to sign up to once you sign up and become a member of Blacks in Technology, how you go about getting that discount, and we'll have some details about that up on the site. So with that, Elaine, I want to definitely thank you for coming on and talking about the PMP certification and talking about yourself and your company. And wish you good luck in 2011, and maybe we'll have you back on here in a little while to talk about some more about PMP certification and about some of the upcoming things that are happening within the field.
Okay, perfect. It's been a pleasure. It really has been a pleasure talking with both of you. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Elaine. Good talking with you.
Thank you. Have a great evening, guys.
You too.
You too.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.